Lifestyle creep is keeping you broke, it's keeping you stuck in your life, and it's ultimately keeping you poor. I think back to the early points in my life, and I didn't grow up into any kind of privilege. Not saying life was the hardest, but it also wasn't the easiest. I can recall times having to share a single bed. I can recall times not even having £5 to be able to put into the electricity meter and having to keep the lights on with candles. And as my life has progressed, it's progressed significantly. It's put me in a position where I live here in Dubai. I get to spend good portions of the day on the beach and being able to ultimately live a life that I once dreamed of. But the point I'm making is that life didn't start out this way. And so as my life continued to evolve, what happened is, over the years that followed, I started to accumulate a lot of assets. I started to buy supercars. I had an Audi R8, I had a McLaren, I had a BMW i8. I started to accumulate a lot of assets, watches, cars. I spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds on single jumpers and t-shirts. I mean, I've got multiple jumpers that cost about £1,000. I've got multiple t-shirts that cost £500, £600, £700. The point is as I started to rise in my life, my lifestyle became equally as expensive as the money I was earning. So for years of my life, it was $1 in, $1 out. Literally, I would earn 1,000, I'd spend 1,000. And a lot of it was because I didn't have this stuff growing up, right? I didn't know what it was like to feel and taste and touch a supercar. I didn't know what it was like to be able to have some of these top tier fashion brands. I didn't know. And because I didn't know, I wanted to feel it. I wanted to experience it because it's what I'd seen, right? You go online, you see the lifestyle, you see what it looks like to be able to live life in that particular way. And it's like, hey, I want some of that too. I want to know what that feels like. And I got caught up in that trap. And we call that trap lifestyle creep. And it's basically where the more successful you're becoming, the more wealth you continue to accumulate, the more riches you continue to build in your life, your lifestyle starts to grow directly in proportion to the amount that you're earning. So what then happens is you ultimately end up on a hamster wheel because you never end up any better off, because you're basically spending every single dollar, every single pound that you earn, instead of putting yourself in a net positive position, which should have been the whole reason for you becoming more successful in your life in the first place. So how and why does this happen? And ultimately, I tend to see it happens for very similar reasons to why it happened to me. When you haven't grown up in privilege, when you haven't grown up in an environment where wealth and riches is just normal to you, right? It's something that you're going to want to strive for. It's something that you're going to want to experience. Versus there's people that I knew growing up that were born into wealth. They grew up in wealth. And so the concept of having a nice car or having a nice watch or something like that, it just wasn't as big a deal to them because it was normal. It was just what they did. It's how things were within their families. And so it wasn't really a thing. But when you don't have it, all you want is to have it. And then it's only at the point that you start to have it and attain it, you start to realize that there's so much more to life. There's so much more to life. And that's why I often like to talk about videos on this channel in a few different categories: health, wealth, relationships, because I found that actually when you're able to start maxing out your stats in those three categories, that's where you actually start to get some real semblance in your life of actual fulfillment. Whereas for so many years, all I wanted to achieve was the fast life. That's all I wanted because it's all I could foresee. It's all I felt I could aspire to. And so I actually recommend that if you haven't gone through the experience of owning these assets, it's worth it at some point, because no matter what I say to you on this video, no matter what research you do about the decisions you should and shouldn't make, there's no better real rationale or impetus, I should say, for change than actually going through and experiencing something firsthand. Until you experience it yourself, the feelings that go along with making these types of decisions, no matter what I say or no matter what anyone says to you, you'll never truly feel it to the extent that will lead to lasting change. The actual message that I want to convey in this particular video is to really try and control lifestyle creep. As you start to do more, as you start to earn more, as you start to progress in your life, really focus on making sure that you don't increase all of your expenses and the cost of your lifestyle directly in proportion to what you're earning. The smartest thing you can do is try and control and contain your lifestyle, try and control and contain your impulses, create some level of balance, right? And don't allow your mind and your body and your spirit to be controlled by physical assets. I came to find that, I remember in my first ever job, my first ever role, I had a picture, 3 pictures on my desk. I had a picture of an Audi R8, I had a picture of a dream holiday destination and a dream apartment. And I remember waking up several years later, looking down at my driveway, seeing I had the Audi R8, looking around my apartment. I was living in a brand new 2-bedroom, phenomenal apartment, and looking at all of the travel I had done. And I said, wow, Alex, that picture you had when you were 19 at that corporate desk, it's your life right now. So why do you feel empty? Why do you feel like there's still so much left to do? You don't have all of the feelings that you thought you were going to have in this position. And that's why I do encourage that in some ways you kind of need to feel it for yourself. But if you can take anything from this, don't feel it to the extent that I did. Be smart, right? So even if you choose to get that car or you choose to live that life for a period of time, just taste it for a moment, but don't allow yourself to psychologically get caught up on it or allow your semblance of self-worth to be tied to the assets. That's really the key thing. If you're gonna, have an experience for a month, even for a year, that's fine. But don't allow any part of who you are and how you define your worth as an individual to be caught up in these assets. I realized for so many years I was trapped in the cycle of third-party validation, meaning that I would purchase assets and certain cars and certain things because I felt like I needed to prove myself to others. Probably so many things that stem back to being young, right? I felt like I needed to show who I was, show what I was capable of. And I wasn't doing it for me, I was doing it for other people. Now, if you choose to want to purchase something or make a decision solely for yourself because there's something in you that wants that, there's something in you that chooses to make that decision because there's something deeper there, then go for it. But you want to make sure that you're not doing anything to impress people on Instagram, to impress people you don't know, to try and keep up with appearances. No, make decisions because they're decisions that you want to make for yourself. There's something specific you want to unlock, or there's a particular goal that you wanted to attain for yourself. All of those reasons can make a lot of sense. But I will tell you, as someone who has gone through all of these moments, I've had 14 cars in my life. I've traveled first class Emirates multiple times. I've done so many experiences that were once a dream. Nothing really compares with just optimizing your health, your wealth, and your relationships and your connections with people, but in all of those categories, actually doing it for yourself. So prioritizing your health for you, prioritizing wealth attainment for you, prioritizing the relationships you have with other people, again, for you. You've got to make decisions that serve your interests. And at that point, that's when you can actually live in more service of other people. That's actually when you can be more helpful to other people around you because you put yourself first. May sound selfish, but it's the reality. I lived many, many years solely in service of friends, family, other people, putting myself second. And actually, the most rapid progress that I had in my life and the most growth that I'd had is actually when I'd put myself first so that I could then better serve others. So the message here is, listen, enjoy the things life can bring, enjoy the assets, have the moments, go through the experiences, but don't allow any part of your self-worth or who you are to be dictated by those things. Don't get too caught up. Try and control your life and control your expenses, and you'll set yourself up for a much more sustainable future. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll leave Links in the description box below so you can get in touch. Until then, keep pushing, keep climbing, and I will see you on the next one.